What's going on, you gamers? Here we are, and today we're back in Outriders. Now, if there's one thing that can really get you down in games like this, it's having status effects. Isn't been on fire, completely frozen, all of the above. They can get really annoying really fast. So if you want to know how to get out of status effects, or how to remove them as such, then stay tuned. That's coming up next. Welcome back, all you guys and girls. As always, for all things gaming, for all things Xbox, why not hit that subscribe and bell icon? I bring you all the latest in gaming and a lot more Outriders along the way, as I'm really enjoying this and cannot wait for the full game to come out. But one thing that will help you, and help you absolutely in abundance, will be learning the mechanics of the game, what works, what doesn't, and one thing that you definitely will need to know, and maybe not right at the start, but definitely at endgame, will be about status effects. And more importantly, how to get out of them. Now, one of the main things they've done in this game that they've done a really good job of is just going to the guide. Gives you like a little rundown of everything that's in the game and is quite helpful as such. They've also kept it quite simplistic, so you can just have a little look, and it's not in depth, it's not gonna take you ages. You could spend 5 minutes and get through pretty much all of it. So if you go to any of these, it will give you a kind of overview of what you're looking for. Now, if you come over to this one, which is enemies, and go up to status effects, it will give you a little guide of all of them. And as you can see, some weapons, abilities and enemy attacks cause a status effect, alongside or instead of dealing damage. There are 8 status effects, and that's Ash, Bleed, Burn, Vulnerable, Freeze, Toxic, Weakness and Slow. Now, you pretty much know what all of them are, you're going to see them within the game, but just to go over it, Ash stops an enemy for 2.5 seconds, Freeze stops an enemy for 3.5 seconds, and that's one to note, that Freeze one, because that is one of the strongest things in the game at the moment, especially on the Technomancer. It's ridiculously powerful, and especially if it happens to you. If you played any games like this, being stuck still for 3.5 seconds is pretty ridiculous. But yeah, when used consecutively, the duration of these effects gets shorter. Crowd control can trigger effective resistance in elite enemies, so that's one thing to actually note, and it's one thing that's really big, and you might be confused if you don't know about this. Basically, what it means is if you continuously do the same things over and over, interrupts, doing all your moves that kind of knock out a boss's makes them kind of stop doing what they should be doing, they can't get any big hits off, then they can grow to this and get an effective resistance against it, and that might be why you're kind of thinking, well, why didn't that work this time when it triggers his ultimate move as such. Now, just down here you've got Bleed, Burn and Toxic. Bleed does damage equal to 2.5% of your ability power every 0.5 seconds for a duration of 5 seconds. Burn does damage equal to 3.7 of your ability power every 0.5 seconds for a duration of 6 seconds. And Toxic does damage equal to 3.5 of your ability power for every 0.5 seconds for a duration of 6 seconds. So as you can see, basically out of all of them, being on fire is the worst thing. So obviously that means Pyromancer, I am gonna guess, should basically have the best for end game damage over time. Obviously I can't 100% say that, but I'm guessing that, and I'd imagine for yourself as well, if you're on fire, it's probably going to be the worst for yourself. Now, just down here, as you can see, Vulnerable increases the damage received by 25% for 10 seconds. And Weakness decreases the damage dealt by 30% for 6 seconds. So really good on people, really bad on yourself. And Slow reduces movement and attack speed by 30 to 75%, depending on the enemy's status resistance for duration, depending on the skill or mod used. So again, like I said, that could be absolutely ridiculous, but all of these would be really good for you to know. Now, another thing that would be just as good, maybe even more so, would be if you come over to this one just here, class and skills, and then go all the way up down to status effect on players, so basically status effects on yourself, which by the looks of it you can't quite get as many as you can actually apply it to the actual enemy, which is good. Well, as far as I can see in this chart, maybe you can later on if there's a boss or something, but it looks like you've got the advantage. So here's the thing, this tells you right here how you can actually negate or kind of get out of the status effects that are on your player. So when you are affected by bleed status, you will receive damage over time whilst moving. Basically get yourself into some nice bit of cover and kind of stay still for a little bit. You can avoid taking damage from bleed by standing still for the duration of the effect. So you're going to want to stand still for a few seconds, get yourself in some nice cover, and just make sure you're not bopping left and right coming out of cover and getting that bleed duration. When you're affected by burn status, you can remove the status and avoid damage by rolling. So it's kind of like you've put yourself out as such. You've done a little roll, you've dashed yourself out, you've got no flames anymore. The toxic effect is removed when you receive healing during its duration. So I would hazard a guess that that would be if you get a kill as such, or you use any kind of your actual healing attribute, so say for example with Technomancer, or if you receive healing from Technomancer if it's not your character and you're in a group, or if you just apply any of the kind of mechanic to your healing, that should apply to that and it should knock off the toxic effect. You can break through crowd control effects when you are affected by Ash or by Freeze. So as you can see, you can use your melee attack to break free. Now, players can be granted status immunity through certain item mods. So as you can see, like that says, you may well be able to get mods that completely negate some of these altogether, which would be really good and really strong in some endgame builds. But yeah, you'll definitely want to know this. It's something that I think you'll need later on in the game. It's something that you'll remember, and it may well help you if you're standing there completely on fire, just about to die, and instead you can just roll and put it out at any time. Or if you're bleeding, and instead you can stand still and go and have a cup of tea. Well, probably not a cup of tea, but you know what I mean. You can just have a little chill for a couple of seconds till it's gone. But yeah, I think that's well worth knowing. It's definitely something that you'll want to know in this game before getting too late game, because you don't want to be that character that is constantly dying because they don't really know what's going on with their character, who is bleeding to death over and over while everyone else is completely fine. Right, all you guys and girls, I hope that's helped a few of you out. I hope I haven't taken too long, because I probably took a bit longer than I should have. But as always, for all things gaming, for all things Xbox, take care. I'll see you on the next day.